Chapter 3. The first 100 million lives and the original Adam and Eve. The first 100 million lives started out being very short and incomplete, but increased in duration as time went on. The original first being, male and female, had never had lives or run any until now, so it was a learning experience for everyone. As time went on, the days were filled with an increasing amount of differentiating experiences, which not only helped the original first beings understand how to manipulate lives, but more importantly, allowed Lily and Era to develop stronger and wiser beings. They began to understand many things. Here was the birth of wisdom. They learned of the beauty of love, the pain involved in the loss of a loved one, but also the many wonderful things the physical senses could give them, something no one else had ever experienced. However, when the newness fades, you can miss what's actually better. The original first ones saw that Lily and Era were growing, changing, and becoming something different, something new. Their energy centers were not only becoming stronger and larger, but developing, evolving. They were pleased, yet concerned about this new growth. They now realized they could manipulate the growth of their released spirit, as well as the need to make new changes. Lily was the strongest part of Lilith's energy, her primary focal point. She was a female being of incredible mother love, but still very strong. Era was the strongest part of Era Melius, Aaron Energies, his most powerful focal point, so separated to have lives with Lily, as they were the strongest beings available. They were the correct ones to start this having a life process. It was known that the first lives would be the most difficult, as the original first being halves were learning how to orchestrate the physical life procedure. Something quickly became evident to the original first ones. Era's power level was increasing rapidly. Era was made from the energetic frequencies of love and massive fortitude. Remember, Era Melius was initially made to be creation's primary protector, and Era was the strongest part of him. After having been removed from Era Melius, Era was told he was to be creation's protector. He was told 3 things. 1. You will always protect the original first being halves. 2. You will always protect everything the original first ones build. 3. You will subdue others coming from the first dimension to be controlled by us. Era, never having had a life and therefore incapable of understanding, simply said yes. Simply said yes. It's only through having lives that we develop an understanding of many things we now take for granted. The most important wisdom Era could receive is an understanding of compassion, honor, and equality, and that he did. Those of us that have lives relative to protection, taking for granted that we are of a positive vibration, learn these things quickly. We immediately understand the equality of all others, that none are above the others in importance. We quickly develop a feeling of compassion as we shield others from abuse. They tend to develop the same for their protectors. This is a natural event with those beings who have compassion in it at all. In maintaining these goals, one naturally develops a sense of honor, keeping themselves to this personal format, understanding the need to maintain their protective boundaries. Truth, honor, compassion, and loyalty are just some of the healthy qualities that grow from this format. That is why creation's format is changing to exactly that. Only in this manner can we all move forward with no one trying to make things about their individual selves. Only of the whole as a family, disgruntled or not. The protectors only need to remain selfless, and they will. Lily and Era care about their format to serve and protect, not themselves, others, other than their own existence, allowing them to continue their format. Where there is no truth, there is no honor. You must have the truth to have any foundation to care for others as well as yourself. If you don't know what's really going on, how can you react to things properly? How can you do the best thing for yourself and others when you're not fully aware of what's happening around you and why? You can't. We always, those of us who care anyway, do the best we can anyways. What else would we do? How would you like to be more, do more, become all of your true self? It starts with understanding who we are, where we all came from, why things are the way they are, and how it all started anyway. This is all covered in Book 1 of the Creation series, Creation It's Begin Again, Your Origin. As mentioned a short while ago, the original first beings realized that Lily and Era were growing stronger more rapidly than they expected, but their largest concern was Era. It was especially important that to the original first being male, Era was made with almost limitless fortitude. All of the abuse he was receiving increased his power level beyond anything they could have imagined. He was quickly becoming a serious issue, more than just a possible threat to them in the future. It was the male who, at this point, felt the need to do something to him. The original first being male decided to take part of his own energy, actually a separate piece of his spirit, and attach it to each body Era was put in. As time went on, he taught Aramelius how to perform the same process, attaching him to Era instead of himself. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, after a while, Lily and Era were no longer making their own bodies. They were being born into them. How do you make a body anyway? It's actually quite simple. The spirit visiting a planet flows down to it and asks for permission to have a life on it. Then the planetary essence, female universal essence, if agreeable, will send a part of her spirit up to you and work with you to make the physical matter from the planet is temporarily bonded to your combined spirits, Kundalini. This body completes its form at the solar plexus. If you only stayed a short time, you could release the physical material. Were you to stay too long, you would have to endure a full life in it, or destroy the body yourself. Anyway, this holographic piece of Aramelius' spirit was attaching itself to Era's base chakra, the emotional point of the body's energy fields. The easiest way to control a person is by manipulating their emotions. The second part of controlling someone is by literally taking over their thought process by entering the left conscious side of their brains or straight down into the crowns, into the hypothalamus gland. A short time later, the same was done to Lily. Part of Lilith, at the huge spirit field she came from, was attached to her, helping the original first ones control her. This, as it turned out, actually made Lily and Era even stronger as their abuse increased. As Era consisted of massive amounts of fortitude, he grew immensely. Lily was also comprised of powerful fortitude. Never underestimate her abilities. The original first being, male and female, decided to only use this on others when they felt it was necessary. They had no intention of placing pieces of their own spirit in any of the future bodies. They did want to further understand how to manipulate the bodies more effectively through emotions. Lily and Era, however, would need to retain their personal jailers, so to speak. Lilith and Aramilius had never had lives, so they were not aware of exactly what they were doing at first. Later, when they learned, they didn't care. They were less than 2% negative frequencies. They eventually learned how to be abusive anyway. By example, arrogance does not require negative frequencies to exist. The original first being, male and female, continued abusing Lily and Era more and more, comprehending how much they could take and what their limits were. This is how they were going to control the increased growth of essence and eventually the souls. The more they abused them, the larger they grew as spirit, once out of their physical bodies. Too much abuse and they would end their own lives. Have you ever heard someone say God only gives you what you can handle? Really, what's suicide then? Here's your God at work. What everyone is calling Father God was actually the original first being, male, female. She would control the process of having lives, while the original first being, male, was the field of energy that everything existed in the third dimension. Now, there's no supposed God, as both of the original first ones are destroyed. Their support system has been also deleted. We'll get into that detail later chapters. For now, let's get back to Gaira and the lives on her. In the beginning, when Lily and Era were still making their own new bodies for each life they had, they learned how to improve on their own designs. Their body forms were continually improving, helping them deal with the harsh environment. They also realized that they were remembering less of themselves while in the physical body form that concerned them. As they kept improving their physical life structures, they worked on this, but also to no avail. The original ones were continually improving the flesh persons being made now. This was done through DNA manipulation and energy barriers, like the one between the two halves of the physical brain. Lily and Era realized that maintaining their understanding of just who they were was imperative. Another problem here was the small portions of Lilith and Aramalia's being attached to the base chakras energy fields of each body they were in, attacking their thought processes, but even more so their emotions. This was more than just a constant annoyance, it was a strong control mechanism. They had already had enough lives to become aware of certain characteristics of the original first being halves to understand what they were up to. Lily and Era had a strong understanding of many different thought processes now, judging them through their own compassion and honor. This came mostly from their being together, trying to survive in this world full of creatures, which caused constant problems for them, especially taking their lives. Loving each other as much as they did, they cared for and protected each other aggressively. This was a powerful tool for enhancing their ability to learn, to understand, acquiring their own wisdom. I can't find the words to express all the feelings which developed in these lives. The immense, powerful energy coming from Lily and Era's hearts literally filled the planet when on it Gira was well aware of what was happening and began to acquire her own understanding of emotions, feelings, thought processes, and the rest. Over the first million lives that Lily and Era had, Gira began to realize the major problematic issues of the original first being house. Remember, at this point, the most negative frequency being, other than the negative source spirit field they released, was the two original first ones. As I hope I mentioned in the first book, the strongest and most powerful of the first angels, the one called Lucifer, was made to keep the large field of original first being negativity controlled. Imagine that. The one your religions call the devil is actually what has been protecting all of creation, all of you, before you even existed. Why do you think he's called Lucifer, whose name translates to of the light? Religions are false. The truth is within and around you. You only have to open yourself up. The original first ones as stated earlier, were 27.5% lower or negative frequencies. Gira was essence with a little over 1%. The original first being halves were neither aware of nor would ever be concerned with the negative characteristics they were now showing. To them it was natural. Gira watched the events occur on her. She quickly learned that one reason why she is so close to Lily and Era today. She remembers she's as intelligent as she is powerful. She's the largest and strongest of all the individual female universal essence spirits in creation. As Lily and Era continued having lives, they continually grew away from the desires and thought processes of the original first being, male and female. Lily and Era were concerned for all those who might follow, as their own lives were slowly becoming more and more aggressive, abusive, and demanding. All this was pointing to one important fact. They needed to protect each other from the original first ones and watch them very closely.